Welcome to the first of the videos on derivatives and risk management for level 3. This one's called position equivalencies, and it's a bit of a warm-up video. It reproduces or replicates the thinking in the first section of your level 3 book on derivatives and risk management, and that section uses tables to show the equivalence of payoffs. I prefer not to use tables. I'm much more sort of a graphical person, so I prefer to draw things on diagrams instead of tables. If you like, if tables with numbers and words are better for you, you should look in the book. So this is just to get you thinking about the payoff profiles of different instruments and how, when combined, those payoff profiles may actually match the profile of another instrument. Hence, we're going to go through what essentially are 4 synthetic positions: a synthetic long forward, a synthetic short forward position, then a synthetic long put, and a synthetic long call, and see how you can achieve the same payoff profile as for these instruments or these positions without actually holding them, but combining 2 other things. In theory, this should be a lot more numerical and based on the put-call parity, but to be honest, we don't care about the cost of going into these strategies. We just care about the equivalence of profiles. So it's a bit of a don't treat this too sort of seriously. It's more of a drawing exercise. So the first one, synthetic long forward position. Well, essentially, you can get something that looks like a long forward, by combining a long call option position and a short put. Now, the long call and the short put should have the same exercise price or the same strike. And over here, I've got a little, axis on which I will somewhere roughly in the middle draw an X. That X is going to be the exercise price of, or the strike price of our 2 options, the call and the put. Now we're supposed to, given what I just wrote, take a long position in a call option, so basically buy a call. It's a call with a strike of X, and I care about the payoff profile at the time when the option expires. So at that time, the value of the option is either 0, right, on the left-hand side of X. You should remember this from level 1 and level 2. If you don't, you really need to go back and watch some videos from those levels. And over here, we've got a line going upwards diagonally at a 45-degree angle. So that's our long call position. With, let's just make this clear, exercise price or strike price equal to X. Hopefully nothing surprising there. At the same time, I'm supposed to combine this, so actually with a short put. So actually, let's give this a color and underline here to make sure you know what is what. The short put is it's a little bit more tricky to draw, but a long put would go like this. Now I'm not going to draw a long put. I need to draw a short put. So I invert that or reflect it in the horizontal axis, and effectively I get something that looks as follows. Obviously, once again, assuming that the put option has the same exercise price or strike price as the call, namely X. So that's my short put with the same exercise price equal to X. Now, what happens when you combine these 2 into a single strategy? Well, basically, if the reddish short put position is losing money over here on the left-hand side of X, then the green long call option is effectively making 0, not losing or making any money. And the opposite happens on the right hand side of X. then the short put is effectively at zero, stuck at zero, and the long call is providing some gains. So when we combine these two, the flat lines at zero, they just, you can cancel them out, they're irrelevant, but what you're left with is this diagonal line at a 45-degree angle, and that basically is your long forward position, long forward with with a forward price of X. Now, in theory, I mean, you would need to get into some more mathematical details, put-call parity, to appreciate certain nuances here. I mean, you could also make the argument that this is similar to just a long position in the underlying or a long forward. You just need to perform a little bit of discounting, but this is the gist of it. Now, the next one is very similar, except that we're going to try and replicate or come up with a position that's a combination of instruments that will give an identical payoff profile to a short forward position. So as you may kind of appreciate by now, having done some options both at level 1 and level 2, if you want to go from long to short, and you've already got a formula over here for one of those sides or one of those positions, you basically want to now reverse the holdings or reverse the positions on the individual instruments. So if we had a long call up there, we're going to have a short call down here, and we will supplement that with a long put, and that should do the job. We will of course check graphically if it does indeed work. So once again, let's use some colors here. For the call option, I will still use the color green, and for the put, this, whatever that color is called, kind of looks reddish, but it's not really a full-blown red, is it? That's going to be my exercise price, my X, and I'll attempt to draw a long call, a short call first. So a short call looks like this on the left-hand side of X. It's at 0, but then instead of going diagonally up, it starts, which would be the case for a long call, it will go diagonally down to the right-hand side of X, and that's characteristic of a short call. With a long put, we're going to have, let me just make sure I get this right, yeah, starting like this, going diagonally down like this, and to the right hand side of X we are back at 0. And now, same analogy as before, you know, what happens when you combine the two? Well, basically these horizontal lines at 0, they become more or less redundant. They're not doing anything to the overall payoff. But actually, before I draw the combined payoff, let me just label these things. This is the long put, and that is the short call position. And you should be looking at a line on a combined basis that basically looks like this, and that's nothing more than just a short position, short linear position. So in this case, we'll call it a short forward, or you could say it's a short in the underlying. But basically, a forward price is always linked to the price of the underlying anyway. So it's just a question of taking into account the time value of money and potentially any costs or any benefits associated with holding the asset, like you know, interest, storage, or indeed any benefits like dividends for a stock. That's too much of a discussion to get into right now. This is not what that section or this section of the curriculum is about. The next thing we want to replicate is synthetically, of course, so via other instruments, is a long put. And a long put is going to, you know, one possibility to replicate it quite simply is by doing a short stock holding a short position in the stock, so basically in the underlying, and a long call. Now, I didn't write this before, but going forward everywhere, I will assume that X is the exercise price of the relevant instrument, the put or the call option. Here, X will be marked as well on that horizontal axis, and I mean your book quite easily jumps between underlying stock positions and forwards relating to them. So in this case, they're kind of talking about a short stock position, and if it was bought for the amount of money X, that short stock position will have the following linear payoff. Okay, just like a short forward with a forward price of X, and we want to combine that with a long call. So you should be quite aware of what that looks like by now. It looks like that. So that's the short stock position, and that's our long call position. And when you combine these, when you overlay them, like we've done over here, what you get is, once again, a redundant kind of leg to the left standing at 0, so doing absolutely nothing, collapsing to 0, in which case this is what remains to the left-hand side of X, and to the right-hand side of X we've got a classic options outcome, where one option, the red one, the long call, is working upwards at a 45-degree angle, but the short stock is this could have been also achieved via a short call, right? It's working to the downside at the same 45-degree angle. So effectively, this and this, they cancel one another out. When one is making a gain, the other is making a loss, and what we're left with is, the two diagonal lines, they just collapse to what is effectively a 0, and that I don't know, pinkish violet line, whatever you wish to call it, which represents the combined position, is akin to what you'd see if you just drew a long put. Hence, we've got ourselves a synthetic long put. And finally, synthetic long call. Now, you would be mistaken to think, okay, if I want to get a synthetic long call, I should reverse what was done over here. It doesn't work like that. You would get if you just reverse the positions up here, you would get a synthetic short put. But to get a synthetic long call, you need a slightly different or very different set of instruments. You're going to go long in a stock, so the underlying, and long in a put option. So only with regard to what you're doing to the stock position do we really have a reversal here. It was short stock, and here it was long stock, but the rest is somewhat different. So long stock, let's label that with the green color, and long put with what I've been referring to as reddish for now, and I guess will be, unless somebody tells me what that color is. Now, long stock, easy, I hope. I'm just, the reason why I'm thinking about it is I want to get my squares right, so that I land at X, precisely at X, where I should. So that's the long stock position. You bought a stock for X, and you either make money or lose money depending on where the price goes in terms of to the right of X or to the left of X. Now, for a long put, by now, this warm-up video, so to speak, has surely given you enough confidence to draw something looking as follows. And just like before, to the we've got a characteristic situation to the left of X. We've got one line that's going up at a 45-degree angle and another line that's going down at the same angle, and these will basically cancel one another out, giving us a net value of 0. And to the right hand side of x, we just have the green line sticking out, going not horizontally, diagonally up, whereas the red line is stuck at 0. So we end up highlighting this leg, so to speak. This becomes sort of redundant, and that pinkish payoff profile is what you should expect from holding a long call position, so buying a call option. And in fact, you should also perhaps realize, and we'll have a separate video on this in a very short while, that when you hold a position in the underlying, like a stock, and you combine that with a long put, that is typically referred to as a protective put. But a protective put, at the end of the day, allows you to maintain, it's like buying insurance against a price drop in your stock position. So if there is a price drop, the long put will work to offset that, but it allows you to keep and maintain the upside associated with the stock price or the price of the underlying just simply going up.